It is estimated that China has 410 nuclear warheads at present. As per international assessment, this figure is likely to go up to 1,500 warheads by 2035. That's more than a triple jump in just a decade and represents a quantum increase. The country is also building more than 200 silos at multiple locations. In addition to silo-based ICBMs, China is building more road-mobile ICBMs. Strategic nuclear submarines is also increasing its air-delivered nuclear capabilities. China possesses one of the world's largest missile forces. Its land-based missiles, which can carry nuclear warheads, include variants of DF-4, DF-5, DF-21, DF-26, DF-31, and DF-41 ICBMs. In particular, the DF-41 is capable of carrying multiple independently targetable reentry vehicles (MIRV). China is concentrating on longer-range, road-mobile, solid-fuel, quicker launching missiles. Its nuclear submarine fleet normally carries the JL-2 submarine-launched ballistic missile (SLBM). The newer JL-3 SLBM, with a potential range of 9,000 kilometers, could also be carried on its latest nuclear submarines. China's H-6 bomber and a potential future stealth bomber are both nuclear capable. It also has air-launched land attack cruise missiles and the ground-launched cruise missiles with nuclear or dual-use capabilities. Overall, it has a robust second strike ability which is being strengthened manifold. With the development and demonstration of an hypersonic glide vehicle capability which can be nuclear-tipped, China has acquired an offensive edge which can no more be couched in mere reactive defensive policies of no first use. The Chinese are also investing heavily in space, cyber systems, communication networks, a nuclear recce surveillance system and a targeting philosophy as part of their system-based warfare. It will also do us well to understand that the Chinese have organized their nuclear forces into a strategic support force with a clear line of command and control and integration with the CMC and Apex leadership. The Chinese also have demonstrated a SAT capability to hit enemies' military satellites, which support their space-based ballistic missile defense systems. They are developing their own BMD in addition to the deception which silos provide to increase the survivability of their nuclear forces. When seen holistically, this expansion will transform China's current nuclear arsenal into one of full-spectrum capability, including a fully operational triad. Hitherto, China's nuclear arsenal was a weapon of political choice with a declared, no first use, policy. It was accompanied with a stated capacity of minimum credible deterrence. However, as China has risen globally, it has an unstated nuclear policy which it has put into effect. It has become more ambiguous. The change is based on the threat it perceives from the USA and the need to seek parity as an emerging superpower. Till some time back, it was believed that the Chinese lacked the technical ability to detect an incoming first strike. Accordingly, it was felt that China does not have a launch-on tactical warning, or launch-on attack, capability. However, that seems to have changed. Recently, during the 20-Party Congress, Xi Jinping stated China seeks to establish a strong system of strategic deterrence, and also called for a boost to new domain forces with new combat capabilities. Very clearly, the Chinese are developing an expanded nuclear capability to seek parity with USA and impose deterrence on it. Axiomatically, as China increases its nuclear arsenal, ostensibly against USA, the threat to India is inherent and also increases manifold. The asymmetry in capability is also changing equally fast. One needs to understand that as capabilities change, intent can also change. Nuclear coercion to settle the Sino-Indian issues cannot be ruled out in future. In addition to the implicit threat from China, one cannot forget Pakistan. The latter might be down economically or be in one of its episodic bouts of chaos. However, Pakistan, its military, its intelligentsia and its people are prepared to eat grass to expand their nuclear capabilities and are doing so despite being near bankrupt. One must also factor in that the Chinese have long used Pakistan as the catspaw to deal with India. Their iron brother status, though rusted, has a core of steel when it comes to collusivity against India. This is an additional factor in our nuclear calculations. So the question is, what does India do in these circumstances? Very clearly, from a perspective of numbers alone, India will find itself outmatched. However, that is only half the problem. The force multiplication due to MIRVs, multiple silos, hypersonic capability and an effective triad in a networked mode puts the slightly dated Indian nuclear capability on the map. The entire issue needs a rethink. At the outset, it must be mentioned that India still has 164 nuclear warheads with a triad capability in its nascent stage. There would be a networking capability to go along with it, and we do have a nuclear command set up. The first thing is that India should not get into a nuclear arms race with the China-Pakistan combine. However, that should not prevent us from expanding our arsenal, to the extent that we possess minimum credible deterrence against China and Pakistan in the new paradigm. We should take stock of issues involved and embark on a program of modernization and right-sizing our arsenal to achieve minimum credible deterrence. Secondly, India must put in place adequate deception and safety measures which will ensure that our delivery systems and warheads sidestep any first strike and leave us with adequate capability for an assured second strike. A lot of this capability will stem from being able to monitor Chinese activity and gauge political temperatures. It will also mean that we need to have vectors which will be able to penetrate Chinese countermeasures. This means building up a strong space-based surveillance capability with adequate backups. It will have to be both active and passive in nature. The fundamental nature of our response and posturing will be political, and hence we must eschew any loose talk of counterforce capability and stick to countervalue effects. Operationalization of a triad capability will be invaluable in our context. Expansion of the capability by developing underwater launch capacities will be invaluable. Fast-tracking MIRV and hypersonic capabilities must be given priority. In turn, this implies a closer degree of civil-military fusion of the entire command and execution chain. Rather than counting the number of warheads, it would be more prudent to expand dual-use delivery systems, including hypersonic systems. Very importantly, the government will have to generate interdepartmental and interministerial synergies to ensure that desired outcomes are achieved in the correct time frames. If one has to put it in succinct terms, the need is to make our nuclear response smart, based on modern technologies. In this process, it is possible that we might have to do some more simulative testing to have better warheads of latest design. In this endeavor, utilizing AI-based simulation will be beneficial. In this connection, we might have to take into account the sensitivities and the leeway our strategic partnerships afford us so that we do not end up with sanctions. There is also a necessity to take a hard relook at our no first use policy. It is not set in stone. With our Western adversary openly professing the right of first use, and our Northern adversary virtually abandoning no first use, it will be wise on our part to reassess our own policy. It needs to be tweaked in such a manner that our adversaries get the message. At the core, there must be a policy shift. Our nuclear programs are all based on peaceful nuclear science and its connected activities. The outlook is largely civilian in nature. Whilst this has served us well in the past, there is requirement now to ensure that the weapons program stops being a poor second cousin on all counts. There is no doubt that the core nuclear science research can continue on its traditional path. However, aspects pertaining to modernization, system integration, weaponization, deployment and operations go beyond the realm of civilians' thinking and needs to be addressed differently. In summation, it can be said that India cannot wait and watch idly when China is openly increasing its nuclear arsenal and related capabilities. Whatever increment it does to counter USA will prove to be an overmatch for India hereafter. In this connection, it is reiterated that India does not have to even endeavor to match China weapon to weapon. However, India will have to resort to smart technologies to modernize our nuclear arsenal and make it more potent and diverse. If it involves incrementally increasing our numbers, so be it. The need to do so is here and now. We cannot afford to hesitate. A growing power like India should reserve the right to defend itself and her people in the best way it can.